Hey y'all, what's up? I just want to give a shout out to Petty Tupac TV. Make sure you go smash, like, and don't forget to subscribe. For real, for real.
Was the height of your street career, was it before prison or after prison?
After, I'm gonna be honest.
Okay. So you come home, you get back into the game. What's going on?
Well, I come home, I started working for a minute. You know what I mean? Had a little job or whatever. Shit wasn't. I don't know, it wasn't going right. Met a little girl, she giving me all types of problems. So I'm laying down. Me and my guy had rented an apartment off of Woodward, and I'm laying down, and my best friend come in. He's still active or whatever, and he see me laying down, and he said, "Man, you a hustler, man." He said, "Man, you gonna go crazy if you keep doing what you doing, man. I don't know what the fuck's on your mind, but he gave me one of the speeches. You better get it right, dog, because you fucking up right now." You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then, like, a light went off, like bing. You know what I'm saying? Next thing I know, I'm on a flight to Houston because I knew a guy from the feds. You know what I mean? He was Egyptian, so he wasn't even a black guy. I called him, boom. Next thing I know, I come back a week or two later. I had a whole bunch of marijuana in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? So here we go.
And you back off at the races with it. Was it a lot of
Yeah.
problem in the marijuana game like it was the cocaine?
Not really, but the amount I had causes problems.
Oh damn, you on the east side with it?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For
Hmm.
sure. I'm over there. And so the word got out that I had got some trees. And then, some guys was looking into me, but happened I knew some guys from A camp who told me be careful because they looking into you. You get what I'm saying? So that kind of, kept it where they never could get near me. But yeah, it could have caused problems.
Because you light skinned, was people trying to try you extra?
You know what, man? Like I said, not really, a little bit me, but I'm gonna tell you the truth. My main man, he was light skinned too, and he was crazy. So a lot of people had a lot of respect for him to start with. You get what I'm saying? And so that kind of took a lot of pressure up off of me because they didn't even want to have to deal with him. Like one time, a guy got into me about some stuff that wasn't really had nothing to do with me and whatever. And I just told him about it. I didn't think he was gonna act on it or nothing. Next thing I hear, he done went to the guy's mama house, got the guy, and basically told him, "Hey man, you better never, say nothing else to him." You know what I'm saying? I don't care
Yeah.
what. He ain't got nothing to do with it. Basically, you ain't gonna put no pressure on him because of this, that, and the other. Bam. Now you gotta understand, they don't really know me that like really what I am because I'm from Chicago. So a lot of stuff that you do when you're young prove who the type of person you are. You get what I'm saying? So they
Hmm.
don't know. I ain't told nobody I'm a GD from Chicago. You get what I'm saying? I didn't tell nobody in Detroit about this. I left that Chicago shit in Chicago. I didn't tell them about it because they didn't have no gangs. And also, back then, when you by yourself, somebody be like, he in a gang, I want to try him more because he's a gang member from here. So by me not saying that, that avoided a lot of that confrontation. But I'm gonna tell you what happened. I'm gonna tell you a true story. So he come get me one day, my main man. He's like, "Hey man, let's go to this hood picnic or whatever." So we go to the hood picnic. There's a guy there who, like, we had some transactions over marijuana and we had disagreement over like $500-600 or whatever. So he's trying to like put some pressure on me, like, "Man, what's up with that money?" So I'm like, "Man, this is not the place to do this, that, or other. We give me your number, we'll get together." He like, "No, man, you be going on high on different places, you be in and out. I need mines now, whatever." So my best friend walk up and he's like, "Look, man, what's going on?" He's like, "Man, fuck this pussy ass nigga." He says, "Man, take your pussy ass back over there." So the guy like, "Man, this story gets deeper." So the guy like, "Man, it's like that." And he like, "Yeah, it's like that." So the guy walked back over there and I'm watching him. But he's looking at me like, "Man, you my guy, man, but you can't be no sucker like this. Let these niggas hold you or nothing like this, man. I don't know what's going on. Everybody's out here." But he don't know what's really inside of me. Like I said, that I'm not no sucker at all. So anyway, I'm gonna tell you what happened. So he goes back to this other guy. He's like, "Hey man, where it's at?" He's like, "It's on my back." and I see his shirt lift up. You know what I mean? So I know what he's going to, what he's getting, because he's not gonna let my man talk to him like that. You know what I'm saying? And in front of everybody and not do nothing, he would have felt like the neighborhood would have been laughing at him forever. So my man hollered at the other guy like, "Hey man, I'm telling you, if you give it to him, I'm gonna give it to your ass too." You know what I mean? But while he's saying this and they paying attention to him, this is why life is a science. You can't underestimate nobody. Nobody's paying attention to me. So I come out from beside the car and I blaze both of them. You know what I'm saying? Fortunate for me, they live. They don't want no more problems. They didn't do no telling. I didn't get no trouble behind it or whatever. Like I said, this 30 years ago, so the statute of limitations is, way past so I could tell. So I hit both of them. Boom, boom, boom. But I do it outside in front of everybody. It even, like I said, to be honest, it even make the news in front of everybody because it's a high school, like situation with them. So anyway, make a long story short, from that day forward, everybody seen with their own eyes what this guy will do. It was a total different level of respect, if you get what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Once you in the hood show that you will do what you got to do if that situation presents itself, everybody changed their whole tone from that point on.
Exactly. I get it. Can you tell me a little bit about? I think his name was Flutie or something. He got buried in a car in Chicago.
Fluky Stokes. His son got buried. Wimp, Lil Fluky got buried in the Cadillac casket in '84. Okay, I can tell you a little about him. He had the whole Chicago South Side sold up with heroin. This is all documented. You can read up on this. So he was the main heroin dealer. But when his son got killed, he was on Mac and Fisher in Detroit. I read this in an article, and I'm like, man, this right around where Demetrius be. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is right in the hood. This shit is, and then I knew he was a big gambler, and Demetrius was a big gambler too. I'm like, man, this is too many coincidences. This don't add up. So I get to the story. So I'm like, damn, they had to know each other. This is what I'm thinking the whole time. But it gets even deeper. A couple of years later, Maserati Rick get killed. And he get buried in a Benz casket. I'm like, oh, these only two people I knew at that time to get buried in car caskets. All this stuff, they had to know each other. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? It's like it had to be a connection. Then I found out that the guy, they call him Unc, I'm just going to say, he did too, Malone or whatever, lived on that block. But the one who introduced a lot of people to the plugs in Detroit. I'm talking about the Demetrius and the Erie Adams and all this, that, and other. So I'm like, whoa. You know what I mean? So, like I said, Chicago and Detroit then had a major connection with each other forever. And what was really deep about it is my mother used to date one of Fluky Stokes' main enforcers. So I'm like, man, I'm around here operating with these guys, but I got connected to these guys through my mama. And they knew each other. It's like a small world. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you don't know, Demetrius, they documented he dead now, but he had a mansion in Chicago too, which kind of made even more sense to me. You know what I mean?
What was Fluky Jr. doing in Detroit? Probably just hustling.
No. Fluky Sr. was in Detroit when his son died. Junior was in Chicago. He got killed in Chicago.
Okay.
But it's just deep that they called him, and that's why I kind of put the story together. And they said he was on Mac and Fisher. You know what I mean? They didn't say what he was doing or whatever. They said where he was at. And I know from the streets, like I said, Meech had the $1 million spot on Mac. So I'm like, they say he had a spot doing $1 million a day on Mac, if you know anything about that. So I'm like, oh, okay. This makes sense. This all makes sense. Both of them got some of the best heroin. Got the cities locked up and shit like this, big gamblers and shit, And you know who Maserati Rick's best friend was, right?
No.
Tommy Hearns, the boxer. This is where Crocs come into play. You get what I'm saying? So and then a few guys out of Crocs then had some little indictments come out over the years. You know what I mean? So, like I said, so back then, if you're from Detroit, you doing anything, you go to the fights, you go to the All-Star games, and that's where you start meeting people. You know what I mean? And one thing leads to another.
Is that how most of the major players met, at fights or
Fights or gambling.
mm-hmm. Gambling was a real big deal then?
Yeah, it's always been. It's always gonna be. It's just that the casino then got involved with it now and took it off the streets. But when it was on the
Mm-hmm.
streets, when it wasn't legal, and you just had to go to different spots and stuff, you know what I mean? You could go on a spot in Detroit, it'd be 2-3 million in there. I used to go into these gambling places to watch. I didn't have the money to gamble, but I just wanted to see the shit. I just wanted to witness this shit. So I wasn't in there
Mm-hmm.
gambling, but I was in there watching, like, wow, this is amazing. You know what I mean? Like, man.
Who are some of the big players you seen come through and gamble?
Erie Adams, you know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna say the ones who did. Meach, Maserati, everybody. I seen them all gamble. You know what I'm saying? All the top ones. You know what I'm saying?
You seen WhiteBoy Rick there?
Nah. Like I said,
Okay.
WhiteBoy Rick to me is overrated. You know what I mean? He wasn't, like he wasn't. I never remember seeing him at the Climax. I heard he might have went to Rados or the UBQ or a couple clubs or shit like that, but he's overrated, man. He was up under the Curry boys.
Mm-hmm.
And Boo, that's my brother, Boo Curry, who was his best friend, who introduced him, And I met Boo, and he used to play basketball with me and stuff, but I didn't really get to know him. He was in the Fed pen when I was in the Fed pen. So I got to meet him during that time and really get close with him. And
Oh damn, you know Boo Curry. All right. I think he just did an interview with him.
He did an interview with who?
I think Mogul State of Mind.
Yeah. Boo, my man. That's my main man.
Mm-hmm.
Boo solid. Boo solid. Boo solid. Known fighting everything. I remember Boo told me something that had me cracking up laughing when we came home from the pen. He was like, yeah, because we got out at the same time too. He said, yeah, man. They used to have these shirts, Strictly Business, spelled with the K. And he said, yeah. When we left the streets, Detroit was the murder capital. You know what I mean? It wasn't the murder capital when we came home. You know what I mean? So he was saying that.
Right.